we are going to be diving in to the claims that some people have been making that Paul from Paul and Morgan is a witch. Is he, isn't he? Stay right here to find out, folks, because we're going to get right into it.
Which witch is which? We will find out every which way which one it is. Is that your first time?
Once more. Not to address the elephant in the room so quickly into the video, but we should. Our last video blew up.
We're famous now. We can't go anywhere in public. We have to wear these disguises. You're dressed like LA Cash. I'm dressed like if the Matrix were run by leprechauns. Needle me boys are after me Lucky Charms. I'm sorry, I forgot that was the premise of that bit. That we were.
We love an intro. Don't say that we don't level up. And you guys give us validation.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. How are we?
All right, are you ready to get into Paul?
I'm so ready.
Oh, by the way, another reason I wanted to catch up on Paul and Morgan is because I finally watched Shiny Happy People and they're in it. And Tan hasn't watched it yet, but he has listened to the Behind the Bastards episode on it.
Yeah, and the REM song.
Yeah, so we're both basically fully, yeah. Very disturbing. Definitely not psyched about the Joshua generation.
No.
See what Paul's
Yay.
got to say.
Morgan's just kind of like Heavenly Mother here, present but
Too
unwitnessed,
sacred.
unmentioned.
Yeah. Morgan used to be a singer, but then she realized secular music was bad.
Okay, I feel like we're gonna get off on this about how witchcraft is magic, is music, is art. Like, the art is connected with arts. Spelling is literally the art of spelling. Mm-hmm. Grimoire, which is a magical text, a magical journal, shares the same root as grammar. Like, it's all connected because language is magic. And we're living in a world created of language.
Sorry to point my straw at you, but it's not surprising that high control groups always keep a tight grip on members' media consumption because it is art
and
music. Like, all those things are things that generally, challenge us to express ourselves authentically and to like accept others authentically, and also to kind of go beyond binary thinking, right? That's bad.
I hope the turtles are happy. I'm ready for a little witch hunt. It's been a minute.
I feel like Paul and Morgan need no introduction, but they're just evangelical, fundamentalist Christian YouTubers for anyone who has been living under a bridge.
I feel like we are walking into a Monty Python sketch. There is a part in the Holy Grail where there's like a witch on trial.
Excellent.
And they've like dressed her up like a witch.
What happens to her?
They prove that she's a witch.
Yeah.
That's not a great one, Tay-Tay. What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul. Taylor Swift, is she a witch? Well, guess what? Your boy.
I'm so glad we're finally covering this, Paul.
We, in the year 2023, are dying to know if Taylor Swift is a witch.
We're going to be settling for you right here, right now, on the only network that's diving into is Taylor Swift a witch? Are you a witch, Paul?
Oh, I forgot to put cat statue in the background. Morgan, right here on this side.
Oh, he's allowed a cat statue, but Taylor Swift's not allowed to be a witch.
That is a graven image, my guy. Are you off your meds, which is pharmaceuticos, which is in the Bible a sign of witchcraft and punishable by death?
Is it?
Yep.
Like, just generally?
The word associated with witchcraft from the Old Testament is the Greek word is pharmaceuticos, which is medicine. Again, it's all related, like... we haven't even started and I'm like agitated.
I knew this would be the perfect video for us because Tana is very well versed in magic and I'm very well versed in Taylor Swift.
And, science is rooted in magic, right? Like the earliest scientists were the latest alchemists, Right. Isaac Newton wasn't a scientist, he was an alchemist, like a kooky eating lead and boiling shit and thinking he could get gold. He was like the last big one of those. And so like magic and science used to be indistinguishable. Creativity, science, exploration of consciousness and of understanding the world and experimentation, all connected. And it's only been this thousands-year process of those disconnecting, but they're not even aware of the ways that they are doing the exact same thing and benefiting from the same and using the same things because it's all rooted in that. Anyway.
As I understand it, what a witch historically was just generally a woman who was in some way considered subversive, which could be as small of a perceived slight as like reading books or like as being into herbs and medicines.
Or pleasuring herself, masturbation, like that's where the like riding the broom comes from. Literally it was a euphemism. And if a woman is having pleasure during sex, that means she's possessed of a demon, because that's not how women act. So if she's writhing in pleasure or whatever, that's demonic.
But then in like the 70s or whenever, they started prescribing women vibrators for hysteria, which is an interesting flip.
I already missed Dave.
With Bethany and Dave, there's Dave.
Yeah,
With
at least
Paul
you got
and Morgan,
Dave.
There's just the cat.
There's Paul the cat.
And I'm worried that cat's not sentient.
I'm sending good positive energy to the plants, hoping that they bloom. None of this is their fault.
And potential witchery. I got notes, baby. I've been doing some research. I wanted to say shout out to our patrons. This channel takes a lot of work, and the monthly support from
He gets it.
I'm going to cut you off right now and say thank you to our patrons. Seriously though, thank you patrons. Without
Seriously,
you, none
can't
of
do it
this
without you.
could-
Please don't make us go back to a corporate job.
Guys, if you want to become a patron and support what we're doing on this channel, we do patron-only Zoom calls, weekly patron encouragement videos, and other perks like 30% off of the new merch drop.
I love his body movements. He's very like, he's got like a physical pronunciation of like every beat.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But many say, look, here is what Taylor Swift has done, what she's doing in her Eras tour, what she's done in her music videos, what she said, and so forth. So she's definitely a witch. We're going to look through these.
Who's saying that?
And if necessary, we will hunt her down and burn her at the stake, or throw her in the river, depending on if the smoke that we light underneath her is white or black. That's how you know.
She probably would float because she has the best boob job I've ever seen. These are the reasonable fundamentalists.
Yeah,
They're
right?
the cool
They're not
fundamentalists.
even like the ones with like the neck beard and the gun who are like,
Yeah.
we need a Christian theocracy this moment.
That's what's a bit scary.
And see what merit they have. I think that's a good way to do it.
Just a perfectly reasonable look into the very valid claim that Taylor Swift might be a witch.
And,
let's get to the bottom of it,
You know,
folks.
frankly, I think there's a case to be made that she is. In the same way that we could be witches, and that you could actually be a witch by using these magical creative devices.
I've heard rumbles of the fact that because Taylor Swift is now, I think she's 34, and she broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years recently, a lot of Christians, maybe people who are slightly less aggressive than these people, but apparently it's like a thing where people no longer feel like they can relate to Taylor Swift, but like they grew up with her, but like all the Christians are like, but I wish you would settle down and marry and have kids, because like it kind of personally affects them because they love her, but they don't, as we know from Bethany from Girl Defined, they don't like listening to or consuming stuff that is like by someone that's too different from them. Like they can't handle it.
I just don't believe that people have experiences other than mine. I just don't really think that's valid.
It can only mean evil is afoot.
Yes, always.
Starting with, there have been recent reports. Morgan, have you heard about this? Have you heard the recent reports that people...
Is Morgan the new Jamie? Jamie, I mean Morgan, can you fetch me another sandwich and look up some facts, please?
A woman shouldn't be an assistant podcaster. Okay, he's about to talk about this thing that's on screen. Taylor Swift fans report amnesia following Eras tour.
Oh my god.
Up. So because you have like such an extreme emotional experience that afterwards your body's a bit like depleted and I don't know. It's like so stimulating for 3 hours of your life. I mean, it's kind of like when you come out of a TikTok haze, but better because it's been spiritually uplifting.
Yeah, just admit that her live band is much better than your local congregation's live band. It does more for the audience.
They're literally just jealous that she wouldn't even be allowed to be a worship leader, like the music. Do they let women be worship leaders?
I don't know, but
think-
his...
Yeah.
It seems too close to witchcraft for my liking. I don't even think women should be speaking in the church.
As we've been saying.
As a fundamental biblical interpreter.
leaving the Taylor Swift Eras concert, and the next day they get up and they can't remember chunks of the concert. And
Have you ever been to a live concert? You're exhausted the next day. Especially from world-renowned musical icon Taylor Swift.
I'm not a scientist, but ask the scientists. I guarantee this is what it is. It was such an important night of your life, the 3.5 hour experience was so important that your brain is using all of its memory power to store as much of that as it can, because it's like, this is a peak experience.
And it is, you like all your all your feel good chemicals.
So that I'm like, that's why people were maybe,
you're standing up, you're dancing, you're crying.
Yeah. The next day
people
just
deeply
like,
affected by music. This just in. Music is turning people to witchcraft by giving them strong emotional reactions that are not connected to Jesus Christ.
This is a tale as old as fucking time. American Christians just banging on about music.
We do really think he's a witch, and there
But
are accusations.
And he will be burned.
He is using language to manipulate reality, which is a characteristic of magic. Using symbols to alter reality.
Baby Jesus is not happy right now.
No,
That's all I'll
sir.
say.
There are people that are saying it's because perhaps Taylor Swift is casting spells.
Everything's projection. I, Paul, am casting spells.
Loss. Amnesia.
No, I have not heard that.
You've not.
They were diagnosed by Dr. Kevin, who lives at the 3rd story of your apartment complex, and he likes to do things kind of under the table. You hand him a $100 bill, he'll give you the horse shot.
Not to take this to too serious of a level that it doesn't need to go to, but like, he's addressing this article that's like, everyone's getting amnesia after the Eras tour. That's the kind of thing that like in Britain, they'd have that on the news, but then they'd have some like doctor or scientist on explaining what your body goes through during a peak emotional experience like a concert, and explaining why this is a very reasonable thing to happen. But here, the news doesn't take itself like that. It does a different sort of thing, and it's just like, is this insane magical thing true? Like, it's fucking complicit.
England saw Beatlemania and was like, oh, there's got to be a scientific explanation for this, and the Americans have just always been, ever since then, have been like, it's Satan.
Yeah.
That's it. Rock and roll music is Satan.
Beelzebub. Do you know what's crazy is like, from the age you were when you could like start understanding concepts, you learned that Satan was real, right? Like from 3, 4, that's just been
along with Santa Claus.
Sure, yeah, but my first exposure to Satan as a concept would have been at our local theme park. I remember there was this like Beelzebub.
You found Satan at the theme park.
It was like a Beelzebub kids roller coaster. Like, it was just like a dumb little, like a devil pops out.
Are you hearing
like that
this?
In America would be like so seen as kids going into the mouth of the devil.
Yes.
But I'm like, but think how differently that affects a psyche. Knowing just the 6 years I spent in Mormonism, like the number that did on my brain, I can't even grasp spending your whole childhood thinking that.
Oh yeah.
I would have
and
been
that he's
gone.
always
at
every moment trying to pry into your thoughts and every internal experience you're having is like, this could be Satan, or it could be me, or it could be God. If anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's Satan. Rap music, that's Satan. That's witchcraft. Religion amplifies the most grandiose of delusions, both in positive ways. There's the kingdom and the mansion and the heaven when I die. I get all this real estate. It's gonna be so great. It's just gonna be great. And then also like perfectly reasonable explanations for things like people feeling tired or losing memory after a Taylor Swift concert must therefore imply witchcraft.
And isn't it all
that she is in a pact with Satan. She's at the crossroads at midnight. She's drawn a salt circle. She's sacrificing a chicken so that then Satan shows up.
Adrenochrome.
Oh yeah, adrenochrome. Satan shows up and is like, "I've got a new bop for you. It's
Cruel Summer."
Cruel Summer. That's it. How else could she have written such a bop? Is that what it is? He's like hates how much that he loves it. Is like, it must be Satan.
Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't ready to reckon.
That actually is. I think that's how. Yeah.
I heard these reports. Apparently, it's like a pretty big thing.
I heard about the amnesia, but not that it's because she's a witch and she's casting spells.
Okay, so Morgan's heard a
Morgan sounds a bit more skeptical, and but Paul's like, okay.
It's like, honey, I know that you've never been touched by music. I know that you don't really like have the brain mechanics for that. You don't seem to possess all the parts that would give you that sort of like empathetic human reaction to the power of live music, but I totally love you.
For those of you who don't know, Morgan is a good singer, and she had an era where she was like, singing like cover songs with some like production company that like made these music videos, and like, she's gorgeous and she's got a good voice, and it's fun and nice, but I think she found the experience of like going out on her own into that world, which perhaps was toxic in various legitimate ways.
The entertainment industry, yeah.
And because she wasn't really like ready for that experience, I think she just walked away with a perception that like, well, the outer world is dangerous, And when the truth is like, no, you were just young, and that was a really like
there's a shadow side to
extreme
everything, including
experience.
religion.
Yeah, that's a lot to be kind of trying to make it in that kind of she's on kind of a reality show. I just think that's all a lot. Like, no wonder you would feel like but.
And then so she laid her music career on the altar of God so that she could spread messages from off camera.
Yeah, these two are anti-secular music as far as I know, unless anyone has any updates. We're kind of catching up with them for the first time in a while, but...
It, again, is like all these things that they think are evil, if they had lived like 50 years prior, all the things that they have normalized and find totally fine.
Like a woman talking on camera and distributing it for all the world
having
to
a
see.
credit card. A woman being able to make purchases of her own accord, that is witchcraft.
I was watching like this news clip where they were talking about it, and they said, this appears to be from sensory overload.
There we go.
That's what's causing the amnesia. But then you got other people that are...
Paul's like, but I don't accept that. It's something like he's giving equal sides legitimacy.
He's like, perhaps if they were speaking in tongues,
like
handling snakes without being bitten, I would therefore assume something good was afoot.
They just can't have anything not be related to their story.
No.
saying, no, this is like demonic overload. There's spells happening here, and that's what's happening.
There's spells happening here. Wake up!
Didn't you hear her say into the microphone, Adava Kedavra?
Dobby is dead.
A house elf just in the middle of the audience.
Taylor Swift fans claim post-concert amnesia due to bizarre phenomenon. Again,
Like, what happened? She turned me into a newt.
I can't believe there's like 13 more minutes of diving into this question.
These
Like,
are full-grown adult men. The fact that any kind of irregular cognitive activity is happening around Taylor Swift is absolutely not a surprise, because that happens in all emotionally charged entertainment experiences and religious experiences as well.
Like, people are crying the whole concert. Like, you really do cry a lot in the space of 3 hours. You wouldn't normally cry that many times in one thing.
Yeah. This is so silly. You have one wild and precious life, and you're analyzing whether or not Taylor Swift is a witch, and I am analyzing whether or not you are a witch. So here we are at the same de-witching.
Damn, yeah. We're 3 witches in.
Witch tier,
Could
the
be
witch you
4.
in. It's witches all the way down.
y'all, this is demonic music putting you in a trance, giving you demonic spirits, opening the door to demons as you're under the spell she's putting you on.
I'm going to leave that one alone for now and move on to the next one.
Oh.
I'm just going to pass that over without any commentary.
It was like, we had some valid points, but we're going to do a thorough analysis here. Don't worry, I'm going to read more insane batshit stuff from the Bible.
And without going too deep into that one, people are saying it appears that she is performing rituals, specifically.
What do you think a ritual is, Paul? What do you...
He's like, by definition of ritual, people are gathering together
I know.
to watch a single event to
scaring
experience.
Like, by some, like, just doing a dance in sync could be considered ritual, to be honest. Like, what is a ritual at its fundamental level?
They're pointing to one song, and there's a clip that's big on TikTok, and I'll play it right here.
Most recent concert, Taylor Swift is performing witchcraft. And I know this is going to raise some controversy in the comments, but this just doesn't look right to me.
Wait for the signal and meet you.
That's scary as shit.
That
I
I
don't
am-
blame it. If that's how
am
they're
quaking
able to
in my
see that,
boots.
I'm like, I find stuff like that eerie. I'm like very sensitive to material, but it's like, that's not the vibe at all of anything
it's-
that's happening here. But I'm like, but you are doing actual damage by like drumming up fear in people about something that's just like a fun, innocent thing, using like metaphor and symbology and whatever to like express normal human emotions, which you feel need to be repressed.
Which is informed
This is scary as shit.
and also informed by the history of Christian patriarchy literally oppressing women and killing women in the name of witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's parody, it's exploration of like shadow side in a healthy, integrated way, and you are so detached from reality that all you can do is be like, say, this is so an inch to be saying about a pop star, Taylor Swift.
No, but
like if he saw it's like, I would like, what does he think about like a Marilyn Manson show? You like. What the hell?
That's bad.
Yeah, he turned out
What
to
do
be
I
a
think
tragedy.
about America?
Yeah, I wouldn't freak me the fuck out as a kid, and to this day I don't have the stomach for it. That's why I'm like saying this about Taylor Swift. Like, this is like looking at like the witch decorations on your elementary school wall hallway and being like, this is Satan. Like, the school is casting spells on the children.
What bums me out about all this is I feel like Christians are just so scared all the time, and all of their ways of thinking and their scrupulosity and all that is like like attempt to feel safe, because like their high control group they're a part of does phobia indoctrination, which is what all high control groups do to keep you in them, which then makes you demonize everything on the outside world, because that's how they keep like the in-group out. That's how the whole operation is running. Some people are going to watch this and be spooked by it. And like, again, Christian kids grow up being taught that Satan is real and he's in stuff like this. And I just can't imagine what that does to the psyche. Like, no wonder all these like Christian YouTubers are so neurotic and like scared of everything and unable to see what's real. They're just in like a fog of fear the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And how sad is that?
It's really sad.
The Eras Tour is so fun and uplifting and wholesome.
Yeesh. I'll be honest, like, that definitely looks ritualistic. That song in...
The NFL looks ritualistic, Paul. Your church is ritualistic. The very pageantry of your church is derived from pagan and occult rituals that were absorbed by the Christian movement that ultimately became the simulacrum you know as Christianity today.
Guarantee someone's been tried as a witch for having like a statue of a cat or like a painting of a cat.
Totally, because they
Something
were
about
seen
cat
as
worship.
idols.
Yeah.
Literally. I know that he's not out trying to be an asshole.
He's trying to do spells though.
He is casting a spell right now. He is speaking, which is language, which is symbols, and he is using them to alter present reality, which is magic, which is witchcraft. I think the internet rumors are true. Paul is a witch. And I think the Jehovah's Witnesses would agree with me.
The music stuff, it seems like a lot lately, and I just made a YouTube short on the topic where we were sharing some concerns about Taylor Swift, and now I'm going...
That white cat standing there is a whited sepulcher, as Jesus would say, while the authentic living expression of that stands before us.
Banksy?
Do you have anything
Do you
to
want
say?
to come here? You don't have to, but
You
if
don't
you
have
want
to. We admire you all the same.
You can
You're
shout out any
perfect, you're
current
precious.
projects you're doing. Okay,
Oh,
that's
just
fine.
slow blinks to signal that you're not a threat. Thank
He
you.
wants for nothing. Freedom from the known.
Wow, a true guru.
into more of the witchy stuff. I'm like, am I overdoing it in this sphere with Taylor Swift in the music industry?
He's like, guys, I'm cool. I know I've been a huge narc about music lately. I've really been a killjoy. I'm not going to keep being a killjoy, but...
And so forth. But there's so much interest in this. And when I think about Taylor Swift, and Morgan and I were talking about this earlier, the Christians flock to this woman. They flock to this woman. Morgan said she kind of referred to it as their golden calf. And I'm like, man, there's Christians that are going to defend this woman and why they're...
Oh, things have taken a turn. And we're not just innocently exploring the question.
I feel like a better allusion to the golden calf might be, I don't know, the actual beef industry. Let's move on.
going to go to her concerts, the Eras Tour, why they're going to listen to her music, that she can do no wrong, that they're never going to stop. We had someone recently say there is nothing, what was it, Morgan? Like, there was nothing that anyone can do or say that will keep me from listening to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's right. Too right.
Something along those lines, and I'm just like, all right, whether we come to the conclusion that Taylor Swift is a witch or not, I think some Christians need to reflect and see,
Either way, people like her too much.
am I idolizing this person in my heart? Am I adoring her and she can literally do no wrong, and I know all of her lyrics and all blah, blah, blah. And as Morgan said,
Knowing a woman's lyrics, again, someone who should not even speak in church.
Sure, don't like get into the mindset that any celebrity is perfect or has like transcended the human condition, but instead it has to be.
I can't quote more than one Bible verse, but I know every lyric and every hidden meaning. So anyway.
There it is. Yeah. It's like the Bible should make itself funner. If God wanted it to have the kind of distribution Taylor Swift had, that was all on him. He chose the method. So
Yeah, maybe people are just tired of the book club where they read the same book over and over, and maybe need a little something, little spritzer, a little
sorry,
freshener.
Christian music sucks, Paul.
There's some idolization going on, and we need to check ourselves, whether she's a witch or not. But back to what I was saying, yeah, this does look like a ritual, whether they're doing it in a very artsy way. Let's just make this song, Willow, look very mysterious. it's looking pretty occultish, if you ask me. And now to get on to the next one, which is piggybacking off this one, she has what she calls the Lonely Witch version of Willow. So
Slam dunk. How are you going to get yourself out of that one, Taylor Swift?
this song, I believe there's a few versions of it, and there's a Lonely Witch version, which to my knowledge is more like instrumental or maybe some tweaks to it, but it's literally called the Lonely Witch.
Like has more like woodwind and harp in it. Ooh, more wholesome instruments.
She made a post, which you can see here, where she literally says, "Witches be like, sometimes I just want to listen to music while pining away, sulking, staring out the window. It's me, I'm Witches. Never fear, the Willow Lonely Witch remix is here with the crystal ball." That's Taylor Swift posting that. Now,
So by
I rest
that,
my
we
case.
can assume that she has personally met Lucifer, has contractually obligated her eternal soul
She
in
killed
exchange
Jesus
for
Christ.
bops, the oldest deal in the book.
read that, you guys listen, you guys are allowed to come up to whatever conclusions you want each time we each new thing that we're going over here. If for you read that and you're like, that is all I need to hear, 1,000% a witch, that's
Yep. Yeah.
We heard it from
Yeah.
her own mouth, from
I've heard the case.
the witch's mouth. Throw her in the pond.
part of me thinks that could be kind of just a trendy thing. I think right now, the whole witch stuff, good witch, I literally go to the bookstore and see all these books on witches, and it's like, it almost feels very trendy.
I hate this all so much because I've just studied a lot about magic and religion and Christianity, and like the early Christians were practicing like witches. They used like white magic or whatever. They realized like harness the powers of consciousness and symbols to affect change in the world, to manifest your will, which is what all of that is, and why art and self-expression has always traditionally and artistically, magically been seen as your life's great work, which is what Aleister Crowley, the great magician, Satanist, great beast.
Don't do that voice because you think that.
Well, I do think that because this is like, I believe in magic because I believe this is a magic world, and magic is simply language and art and music and
Intention.
yeah, and consciousness itself. It's like this, have discovered the ability, animals have discovered the ability to alter the world and to perceive things in time and to change the effects of time.
Which is not very advantageous to people who want you to think that they have the power and you need to go through them to get it.
Right. Which the occult has always been attacked by the church, because all the occult has done is said, you could do this for yourself, like you don't need the church's authority, and that's the great sin of the witches.
Kind of like, come on, everybody, join me, witches, and she's not actually a witch. Or we could take her at her word and say,
It's just the fact that it's like a legitimate question. Like, is she a real witch? Because those exist.
she's saying, hey, witches, I'm a witch, that she is indeed a witch. So far, this is the most incriminating, is that the right word? Incriminating evidence against Tay-Tay. That's not a great one, Tay-Tay. And just even reading that, even if she is just jumping on the trendy bandwagon and thinks this is going to help her sell more of this song and add to the mystery of it, when she makes a post like that and kind of identifies as a witch, it makes me think she probably is embracing some occult things.
It's not clever and it's not funny, as my mum would say to me constantly in childhood.
I did see her handling a broom, whether for sweeping purposes or not, I know not.
Are you? And this is where it's like, it just amazes me so much when I see Christians who are going to go to the Eras concert and sing every word to every song and just soak this stuff.
If you know half of the words to half the songs, that's okay. That's a normal amount of witchcraft that we all partake in. Knowing
As long
all the
as
words
you
to all
know
the songs.
Double that. You have to know every verse in the Bible before you're allowed to learn one Taylor Swift lyric.
That is what God
Because
asks of
if-
us,
yeah.
true disciples.
If you are making space for a Taylor Swift lyric, but you haven't got every Bible verse memorized,
What is your problem?
And it's like, ooh, like, at least we should be a little bit on edge here. At least we should be a little bit like,
At least
be
we should be a
nervous.
bit more uptight and upset
Yeah.
about these things. At
should be
least
spooked.
we
We
should
should be
spend
nervous.
more of our time really upset about this.
we should indulge our paranoia.
inquiring in our spirits, using spiritual discernment. Is this something that you really not just want to like, check out and observe, but go head first in and take part in? When she's saying, hey, witches, we made this witch remix, I think that probably is indicative that she is participating in and embracing some occult things, more than likely. Also, she has a clip in her song Karma, which that song in itself,
Concept from a different philosophy, an
From a
Eastern
Buddhist?
one, no less. Don't these people believe in karma, basically?
They
They
do.
believe
They
in
literally
prosperity
do.
gospel. They believe that every single thing you do will either produce a good consequence or a bad consequence.
Karma is literally cause and effect.
But she's wearing a devil mask. She's got demon-looking things dancing around her.
He has absolutely buried her with this case. I mean, this is bulletproof.
Now, the whole music video, I was watching a good amount of it earlier. It's not all demonic looking like that. There's lots of different scenes that she puts herself in, and that's just one that's, 5-10 seconds. But it is in there, and it is dark looking.
And if there's any dark looking scenario, I think we should automatically assume
Count me
witches.
Yeah.
I've never actually been in the dark. I sleep with the lights fully on, and it's not because I'm a scared little baby. It's because I don't want the witches to get me, and they're out there.
Karma, in and of itself, the meaning of karma, it's a Hindu, New Agey term. Don't love that. Also,
just for simply being Hindu or New Agey.
Is it Hindu or is it New Agey? They're very different things.
Ethnocentric much. As we all know, everything that's derived from the Hindus is inherently bad and evil and demonic. So.
Just discounting entire swaths of the world population because they... Yeah, I mean...
It's like everybody has discovered stuff. And in fact, a lot of the discoveries and inventions that we attribute to white people, like Gutenberg and the press, were invented the same time, or if not earlier, by the Chinese. We just are only familiar with Western history, and there's a lot of instances of that kind of stuff. And so, even in spiritual concepts like karma, it's people have been observing things and noting them, and just because they're Hindu or living on the other side of the world or brown or a woman or... doesn't mean you shouldn't, they have no worth. It's just...
It does, though, is the thing.
Also, the next one is she has used snakes and just very dark snake.
And everyone knows snakes are scary. And things that are scary are Satan.
Yep, that's why I believe that Indiana Jones is also satanic. Also the Bible, in fact, because the Bible was kicked off by a snake, and including snakes is obviously satanic, and Paul believes in the Bible, therefore Paul is away!
It's loud and clear, guys.
You guys
saying
can't avoid
the
the
quiet
sound.
part loud.
He got so deep in, he was like, to catch a witch, you gotta think like a witch. And then he started projecting witchy imagery at us.
Imagery, that's not a great look. In my research, watched some of the heavy hitters in the kind of occult deliverance ministry guys. I watched Isaiah Saldivar, good amount of his video. I watched a little bit of the Vlad. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Those videos have over 250,000 views. It only takes a tiny percentage of a video like that affecting someone who's not great at discerning fact from fiction.
They're great at spiritual discernment, which is just, guessing, being whatever I'm imagining in my brain and feels good to me, that is objective reality.
Last name, but two of the heavy hitters in that genre to get their take on Tay-Tay, and I gleaned some stuff from them. Also watched a couple TikTok videos.
I was just noticing how he has got an idol to the sovereign lord of the DMT realms, which is the cat. Everyone knows that the cat rules the DMT realm, and is thereby promoting both pharmaceuticals, drug use, and ultimately witchcraft.
A random podcast of guys that appeared not to be Christians that were calling Taylor a witch, and were drop.
Also very interesting that he has plants behind him, and witches are notorious for having green thumbs, which is a witchy term. Witches are known for cultivating earth. Why would we cultivate the earth like a bunch of pansies? We know it's going to be burnt up by God any day now. Green thumb, witchcraft. Paul, witchcraft.
F words and all that, but they were saying she's a witch, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's put all of this in a pot. I was going to say a cauldron, but I'm not going to go there.
It's not a good look, Paul.
Not a good look,
It's
Paul.
not a good
Your
look.
mind immediately went there, Freudian slip.
Straight.
Bubbling right in the cauldron of consciousness.
What's Morgan really doing, Paul? She's in the kitchen to the side. Yeah, sure, she is.
Yeah, right. She's casting spells from afar. She's probably doing spells on him to help him.
Hey, no, we are not going there. Put it all in a pot, and we have a ladle that we are just mixing it up in, and then we're going to see what it tastes like. Is Taylor Swift from all of the evidence?
This is exactly what she's doing, which is being see all this, see this imagery that we've associated with being so evil, and how being a woman is evil, and how being queer is evil and witchcraft, and
You're just doing it for the
leaning into
purposes
that.
of comedy, and she's doing it for the purposes of talking about her breakup.
And either way, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
Many of these things are not a great look. Many of these things are indeed concerning, especially for Christians. Am I going to hop on and say, 1,000% Taylor Swift is a witch practicing witchcraft embedded in the occult? No.
Such an interesting intake of breath.
No. Some of you guys are going to really be sad at me and angry at me for saying this, but no, I'm not going to go there. Could she be a witch? Could she be exactly what I just described? Yes, she could. Am I 100% that she is? No. However, guys,
I'm so sad and angry at you because you don't 100. I think I made my point.
don't mess with this stuff. The Bible warns against it. I think the bigger
The Bible warns against mixing fabrics.
thing to take away from this is many people that do not have the Spirit of God living inside of them, and maybe even some that are being sanctified and are on that journey, they partner with the demonic. And if you look at what Scripture says, there's plenty of different verses, but it talks about not giving the devil a foothold. Guys, when we give the devil a foothold with sin in our lives, that is allowing the...
You wouldn't even believe how difficult it is to become a partner of Satan these days. Union laws alone make it so difficult. There's like affirmative action in hell, obviously a satanic ruse, and it exists there. So like for someone like us to get in a partnership with Satan is actually really difficult these days.
demonic to root itself within us, and it produces dark fruit.
What's also ironic though is like you fucking wish you could get as close to God as people do at a Taylor Swift concert. Like
That's
the
why they
level
hate
of
it.
like unity and oneness and wonder and awe and all the things we traditionally associate with a religious experience. You fucking wish, Paul, you've like your whole ideology, it's so fear-based. Like he's not, if he's having experiences like that, it's like you and your mission where you're like manic because you're so like stressed and scared all the time that you like need to produce a good, but I'm like, just look at the era store. That is like a feat of humanity that is able to exist, and like we as a species have got to that.
Verse in James, it's talking about wisdom, and it says, if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, such wisdom is demonic. It literally says is demonic.
Envy and ambition while you, a grown-ass man, berate the most successful female artist of all time for being a witch, for having like very common witchy iconography leaning into stereotypes and like a common cultural mythos surrounding witches. That is the most absurd. You yourself are envious. Ambitious, you've made a video about this to profit off this. This is so sad.
I'm like, you saying you don't have ambition? Like,
I know.
it's just that everything he does is because
Christ won.
It's
all
ordained
Jesus.
by a deity, and that sure gives you an unhealthy kind of narcissism.
Type of things, engaging in this sin and letting this sin fester in our hearts. Demonic. We are partnering with the demonic. That, to me, is a bigger, more concerning issue. Not saying this other stuff isn't an issue, isn't concerning, but it's like, we oftentimes as Christians see these videos pop up and we are like, oh my goodness, like this stuff is huge. I got to stay so far away from that. But then we are okay with allowing these sins that the Bible clearly indicates are sins fester in our lives, and we're giving Satan a foothold, and we are partnering with the demonic and even with demons in the demonic realm.
Paul, you seem stressed. I'm just going to break it down to you. You need to do something to regulate your nervous system. I don't think this is good for you.
If anything, a demon to me is a misconception of the mind, which can, or like an emotion that's unprocessed, that's living unaware in you.
1,000%.
And is operating in the realms of the unconscious. But it's not real, and that's why it's like the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. It's like you're making it, your fear of it being real is what gives it power to operate, because you've confined it to
magic.
the shadow realm.
Like he's doing magic, whether you like
literally, he's a witch!
Yeah. But also it's like the more things in you that you repress because you've been taught that the natural man is an enemy to God, the more you're going to need to externalize certain parts of the human experience and condition, and also the consequences internally of the fact that you're repressing those. And so you're going to need more and more elaborate stories.
When we need to come into the light and turn from these things and get far away from these things, we're allowing ourselves to be kind of cozying up to these things which are demonic, but we would not be within 1,000,000 feet of these other things which look like they have some occultist symbolism. Stay away from that stuff, but let's also
avoid the appearance of evil while the gnat of evil while swallowing the camel of evil. Like, you are so scared of like a witchy hat and trick-or-treaters when like actual bad shit, like the stuff that Jesus actually talked about, like the exploitation of the poor and the needy, like that stuff, you're like, well, that just happens because people are wicked and lazy and choose to be bad and poor. Dave gave us a lot of kind things to work with. Paul, on the other hand.
Dave redeemed us, even as YouTubers.
Redeemed by Dave.
Yeah.
David, Son of David, David David Bible. There's something in there.
We did it, Joe.
Jesus.
I was like, Bible, Biden. In case you were wondering how I got that.
So get right with God, live righteously, turn from evil, repent, and not give Satan and the
Be boring. Cannot stress this enough. Get right with God.
and the demonic realm a foothold in our lives. Guys, comment below, where are you at with Taylor Swift?
I feel like they're trying to be a bit more palatable because they have such a small potential audience anyway. Because, like, I mean, these views are certainly more niche these days. So I feel like he's trying to cast it. I don't know, actually.
Well,
But
in some ways, I guess overall religiosity.
he
is
also
declining,
knows
but-
that 1 million people are going to make reaction videos to this, and I just feel like he's trying to cast a bit of a wider net by not quite saying what he thinks.
Well, it's so
pretty
obvious
clear. I
because
mean,
he's like
she's a witch.
I'm gonna present the most absurd evidence, which is again just like very common witchy iconography that whoever went to like elementary school is fine with and didn't like turn them into the satanic
Well, they
agenda that
weren't.
we're
This
here.
is
So
like,
here we are.
These are the
But-
people that wouldn't let their kids dress up as witches for Halloween.
Fair
kind of thing.
enough. Fair enough. Well, you have a birthday. Will the Jehovah Witnesses have a word with you about that?
We have no intention to go to a Taylor Swift Eras concert.
Well, you're not invited, Paul.
It's just like all this like flimsy stuff that isn't like really that bad, like compared to the actual evil in the
Yeah.
world that it's just like right before our eyes that we
Yeah.
can see the proliferation of violence and war and exploitation, all that. Like it's just right there. And then to be like, okay, these like relatively benign images in media. I'm not gonna say that she's a witch, but we've gotta shun evil like the plague and not give Satan any foothold. It's like, you think that's what Satan cares about? You think this is where Satan is concentrated? Like, and what like an absurd misappropriation of priorities. Like, this is so silly.
He was born in this.
Yeah, I get it because I've been
Yeah.
there myself.
And yeah, it's so sad how high control groups by design to keep people in them make people obsessively self-focused through the lens of like very high stakes, like
Exactly.
heaven or hell, like the best thing about the world. Like it just has you in such a state that you genuinely don't have as much time to care about the other problems because you're like, oh, God is more concerned about whether I'm at a fucking Taylor Swift concert than poverty, which I'm not really concerned with. I mean, I'm sure Paul would say he donates $5 a year to, I don't know.
Well, and this is why religion was instituted, so to give people a reason to not confront the things that are causing them, the systems that are causing them pain and exploiting them.
And then to justify the fact that they do that, high control groups have to spin this narrative of like, well, actually, even more important than helping people not starve to death is making them Christian. So that's how they justify this, because by Paul's logic, he's like, I'm doing the most important work in the world. I'm a missionary.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
which people need Christ more than they need food. Such a waste of human potential is what I'm saying.
I see the way that so many defend Taylor Swift like crazy. I would caution against that. Beyond just the witch talk, there's just the things that are almost more concerning to me with Taylor Swift, the things that she has embraced. And I think
He's like, beyond that, my ex-girlfriend who was a bitch likes Taylor Swift, okay?
A witch.
A witch.
she, even in one of her documentaries from a little bit ago, called herself a Christian. Eesh. That red flags all over that.
That is a bit of a red flag, Paul, I agree.
When she's embracing so many things that I would just say are ungodly.
Okay, so I had a conversation with a believer recently where we were talking about like, oh yeah, back in the 50s, you know, Footloose era, rock and roll, like the songs that we think are so benign, like Frank Sinatra, which every Mormon grandmother in the world is like, put on Frank Sinatra for Christmas. Like, fine, right? Well, back in the day, Frank Sinatra was a scandal for driving the kids to sex.
Every beat per minute that we went up as a culture, Satan.
Yeah, exactly. And like in that
Every
Footloose
time
era,
music got slightly better and more enjoyable, aka gave you an emotional experience that religion was trying to be the sole provider of, Satan.
And well, yeah, exactly. Is like when I had this conversation, they were like, I said like, yeah, the Footloose, you know, rock and roll music, it was all bad. And now today we're like, we recognize that wasn't bad. And then they said to me, well, yeah, so then imagine how bad things are going to get eventually. And I was like, no, what we didn't realize, like, it's not because things got worse. It's we realized that was never bad to begin with. So it's not that like.
But you don't really, because they don't understand like the mechanism by which it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they could only see it as it's getting worse, and that's why we don't think it was bad now.
Because change is fundamentally threatening.
Right. It was like, no, it just was never bad to begin with, and some people have come to grips with that in ways that he has like not entirely failed to do. He's just like living in Footlooseville.
He wishes.
He witches.
Godless of this world. And those are the things, along with perhaps some witchy demonic imagery, that would keep me from going to a Taylor Swift Eras concert. I'm frankly pretty shocked. And
Paul would love the Taylor Swift Eras concert. There's a ton of people outside with megaphones yelling about how we're all going to hell.
Oh.
So maybe Paul could go and do that. Some activism.
Yeah.
Fit right in.
I'm going back to the snake thing. That is so silly to use a creation of God as a symbol of Satan, right? I get that the beast was the wisest of the field who tempted Eve, but it's like, God created it, so therefore that's God. That's on God, right? That's not the snake's fault.
That
doesn't mean snakes are... God did that, right? The all-knowing, omnipresent, omnipowerful being created a snake to do that, then...
Obviously, it's different rules.
You're criticizing the artist, not the magician, which is our daddy in the sky.
We've kind of touched on this. This has generally been like a ridiculous video, but there is a scary aspect to it because, as I said, the people that were outside the Taylor Swift concert with the megaphones, there was a lot of anger in them. Like, they were radiating a lot of Paul's not radiating that kind of intense anger, but they were...
But he is, though. He's like very...
No, not like they were.
Like
These
they
were
were,
people that were realistically, experiencing some kind of inability to... They did not seem mentally stable, and they were very, very vicious in their sort of... And that is, I mean, in my opinion, that's like demonic, to stir up that energy in people unnecessarily. Like,
yeah,
that's
totally.
that's the satanic or the evil thing here.
And that's exactly...
Because some people will go further than the megaphone. Some people will be violent. Like, you could tell a lot of those men would love to punch one of us in the face. Like, it was the whole energy. You could so see how they believed it so thoroughly that it could easily... All it takes is, like, one person with, like, the wrong kind of brain...
No, literally.
...to think that God said to kill somebody,
And that's how, like, this is adjacent to, like, radical right-wing extremism. All these, like, aggravated ideologies that perpetuate and prey on people's most base fears by this kind of straight-up innuendo where it's like, okay, here's some iconography, therefore I'm saying that I'm not saying she's of Satan, but we need to spurn it like it is. And then it's like, okay, well then now all of someone's just daily angst from being ground up in this civilization machine that is stripping 80% of your life so you can gain wages to just stay alive meanwhile you're fighting sickness and mortality and heartbreak, and then you've got these people who are telling you that Satan is everywhere and there's these goblins and ghouls and demons and they're all trying to trick you and doing these horrible things, and it's Taylor Swift and her fans who are at the head of that. And so all of a person's misguided angst, pain, suffering, sense of exclusion from a happier, brighter, more enjoying world and an evil world, all of that gets channeled into, well, then I need to fucking make somebody pay. And that's why we have so many gun shooters, right-wing shooters. Not to say that everybody is exactly motivated by the same, like, aesthetic ideologies or ideology aesthetics, but, like, it is that angst and that stuff that Christianity is just refusing to look at. It's like, let's just make the most absurd claims based on the most, like, silly, flimsy examples of evidence to trigger the most insane paranoid fears about people. That's like, it's really irresponsible.
Yep.
It's really...
Not that he knows best.
No, it's just...
That is what evil actually is. It's not that I think that Paul is evil, but
it's
just
unconsciousness.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, evil is ultimately unconsciousness, and people who are evil don't think they're evil. And evil isn't about your presentation. Evil is about, like, the effect that you have on reality. It's dark. This video is dark magic, Paul. You are a witch.
Paul is a dark witch.
Let's get through this. We're so close, and I think I'm done.
I'm kind of saddened when I see Christians just adoring her, going to the concerts, knowing all the lyrics to even her newer songs, Karma, and these songs that are just bleh. And so I would caution you guys, maybe if you're someone that was naive to some of this and just you grew up with Taylor Swift, or you just are kind of caught up in
It's like people won't listen to my mixtape, but they know all the words to a Taylor Swift song.
all of the passion. She puts on an amazing show, so I'm going to go and gush all over her. Maybe take a step back, guys, and really examine, where you're spending your time, what is coming.
But I never got a call back for my 10th grade play. What was that all about?
People say I don't have stage presence. Have you seen my gestures? I've been practicing for hours.
Oh.
Where you're spending your time, what is coming out of your mouth when you sing these songs with her, what you are embracing at these concerts.
It feels like a perfect night to dress up like hipsters. Whoa, I am just giving into Satan right now.
I can't wait till the Eras Tour comes to Netflix so you'll watch it. Yeah. Actually, I think she has a thing coming out. It's going to be in like theaters. It's like the Eras Tour. It's like a mix of like a documentary and the show. I really want you to see it.
The last stage show was amazing with those big old drums.
If you think that was amazing, this is like
that was the Satan iconography one. Big drums.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Yeah. Drums from another culture.
To hear your thoughts. Keep the combo going. Keep it alive. Thank you guys for being here. Cat statue. Oh, that is
a graven image. Egyptian.
I was gonna, yeah.
Pagan.
Striking angle, cat statue. You are one fine-looking cat statue.
He's basically praying to Anubis right now.
Talking to an inanimate object, you get tried as a witch for that.
That is straight up witchcraft.
Don't come at me, guys, for saying, oh, this is cat statue's demonic. No, in Jesus' name, that cat statue is not demonic.
You can just,
you can see the demonic energy radiating from it.
You're telling me that guy isn't in cahoots with Satan? Fuck off. Thanks, he's come to confirm.
Let's not go over the top.
I love how he's even recognizing that, like, if you accuse Taylor Swift of being a witch, you could also kind of accuse me of doing something wrong for having this cat statue. Like, there's like a shred of awareness to where he can see how some of the people who are likely to believe that Taylor Swift is a witch might also come for him. But he's like, no, that's a Jesus. Jesus is cool with that. Jesus gave me that, actually, for my last birthday.
This graven image akin to the pagan Egyptians is actually totally fine.
Let's not go over the top, overboard crazy.
Cats for Christ.
Yeah, let's not go over the top, overboard crazy. That would be
crazy. Have hope and be free, but don't know a Taylor Swift lyric. Don't be free like that.
Karma is a god. Karma is my boyfriend.
Yeah, you can see where she went wrong. Karma is a god. You can't say that.
Unless cause and effect is God, which I buy into. I think there's a case to be made. Weigh in the comments. Karma, is it witchcraft?
I miss Dave.
I miss Dave too.
That's what Paul and Morgan have been up to. Good to see that they're still actively engaged in making the world a better place.
Banksy's like, enough is enough.
Banksy, is Taylor Swift a witch? Yeah, she's a witch.
This is discouraging. Sometimes Christians discourage me.
I don't see it it's almost like too bland to even get the people that truly think she's a witch want the thing that's like, she's a witch, and like gets them all riled up. He's almost being like too bland for people on every side of the question. They're not an insignificant
He can't just
force.
not like Taylor Swift's music.
Yeah.
He needs to make a whole whole video
like
with innuendos about her being in league with Satan.
Yeah.
Great.
She's hot and she's not my wife, so she's in league with Satan. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us.
I hope next week we're talking more Dave.
Yeah, let's get back to Dave next week. Tell us in the comments what you want us to do, but I think we should go back to Dave because there is their most honest marriage Q&A yet that I'm dying to have you see.
We need to do that one. Yeah.
Okay, love you all. Please support us on Patreon or go look at our merch linked in the description box or buy our candle. Fall is coming.
Patreon is officially a coven, and so if you ever considered being a witch or supporting and joining witches like us, then pop on over. It's a great time. Okay, love you.
Bye, love you.